Hello everyone, it's Steve Kennedy from Dark Art Astronomy. Today we're doing a review of the hardware issues that I encountered after I purchased at 100% retail value a PlaneWave CDK 12-inch telescope. Several of the hardware pieces that were shipped with the telescope completely failed. And in this episode we're going to talk about that. So let's get started. My experience with PlaneWave has generally been very positive. Customer service has been excellent, and as you can see from the unboxing video that I made when the telescope arrived, everything was crated securely, and it appeared, at first in any event, that everything was in excellent shape. We would find out later on that this was not the case. My experience with PlaneWave began in April of 2025 when I made the decision to buy the product, and they required me to pay 50% upfront, which I did on April 11th. And when they had everything put together and ready to go with a final shipping price, they contacted me and let me know what the final amount due was. And I received that information on May 12th, 2025, and I paid the second installment. The total price I paid was $14,865. I then asked for some kind of ballpark estimate on when to expect the shipping company to deliver the product, but I didn't get an immediate response. I followed up and still nothing. I figured PlaneWave was in the process of getting that information and would let me know when, to my surprise, on May 27th, I got a phone call from the shipping company saying that they had arrived. They were in my driveway, needed me to open the gate and give them instruction on where to put the very large crate that contained my new PlaneWave CDK 12.5-inch telescope. This was a pleasant surprise, but also a bit unexpected because I am an attorney, I have an active law practice, and it was just a matter of luck that on that day I wasn't in the middle of a trial, a hearing, a deposition, or something like that, which would have taken me away from my home. I could have been completely out of town. But in any event, no harm, no foul. I was home. I was able to accept delivery immediately. And as you can see from the unboxing, everything arrived and appeared to be in good shape. The telescope was very secure in the crate, and all of the peripherals were nicely packed. However, after unpacking everything and putting everything together, I learned that some of the electronic devices had failed, either because they weren't properly tested or they might have gotten damaged during shipping. The key components that failed included the Delta T box, which controls the heaters, the electronic focuser box, which controls the Hedrick focuser, and the USB to serial adapter, which connects the focuser and the Delta T heater fans to the microprocessor, the Eagle 5 computer that I use to operate everything. All three of those electronic devices shipped by PlaneWave apparently failed and did not work correctly. They had to be returned to PlaneWave, and I received replacement hardware. That took approximately a week to 10 days, and it did cost me a lot of time troubleshooting those devices to figure out what had gone wrong. Here is where PlaneWave, however, deserves extra credit. I strongly feel that their customer support team that I spoke to over the phone was very helpful and dedicated a lot of time with me over the phone and online to test the various devices to figure out what was going wrong. Yes, it took hours of my time and theirs to troubleshoot this, to figure out that the equipment had failed, but they did dedicate that time to figuring everything out. And once we figured out that these devices were not functioning, they sent me replacement parts. And after I substituted in the replacement parts, I finally got the telescope working. In summary, my experience with PlaneWave was a little bit mixed because they didn't tell me when to expect the shipments, and I feel they could have improved the communication on that score. And I don't think that they correctly or properly tested the electronics before they sent it my way, which ate up a lot of my time and their customer service department's time in troubleshooting the device, only to find out that they sent me several electronic accessories that simply did not work. My only other complaint is that the thread size for several of the screws provided to secure the Delta T and the electronic focus box was not the correct thread size to fit the actual bolt. I've included a couple of photographs, so if you look at them, you might see exactly what I'm talking about. This is a fairly minor point, but again, if I'm spending $14,865 on a telescope, I would expect that they would send me the screws with the correct thread size. It just happened that I had several screws available that did have the correct thread size, and I was able to substitute those, but it was a little concerning that they also got that incorrect. So in that regard, my experience was not worth the $14,865 that I paid. But in the end, their customer service department came through for me. And although it took a lot of time and effort for us to troubleshoot everything and get everything working correctly, once it did work correctly, I was thrilled. I'm having a wonderful time using this telescope. And in future videos, I'm going to show you what I've done with this telescope. So look for a follow-up video on some of the imaging I'm doing with the PlaneWave. And until then, clear skies.